Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Tuesday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there, feeling fantastic, having a great start to your day. Great week out there so far. As always, we got you a morning update on what's going to happen weather-wise for really over the next 24 hours. We'll discuss this. A lot of severe weather is possible today, not just today, but into the overnight hours too. And I'll reiterate that, and I'll mention that even more here as we work our way a little bit deeper into this video, and we'll get detailed with you guys. I definitely think overnight tonight could definitely be a rocky night across the deep south, and we'll discuss that. And we'll figure out everybody else too, and how there's some beneficial rains falling across portions of the country right now. This will continue to be the case over the next 24 hours as an upper level low continues to spin over the Great Lakes region, upper Midwest, and this actually will begin to position itself a little bit further east in general as we move through here in time. And with it, little pieces of energy will kind of round around this upper level low, bring in waves of rain and even storms tomorrow for maybe certain sections of the Northeast. We'll talk about that here in the next video or two. And then tomorrow we'll have a big day of severe storms also, and we'll break that down here in the coming video or two also and try to figure that one out for you guys. I think tomorrow might be more significant than today, but let's figure out today first. If you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. If you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put it in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and it gives everybody else an opportunity to pray over it too. Appreciate the support. Appreciate the family-like atmosphere. I feel like, hear me personally, I'm in a good physical and mental space. I feel like I'm in a good summer grind right now. I don't know about you folks, but I'm just feeling fantastic this morning, feeling great, and I hope you guys are too. So let's get rolling here. Let's take a look at water vapor loop, and I think it shows what's going on well. Okay, you got this little bulge. You see right here. You see how this is kind of bulging up, and let's go on and pull this up. We're trying to get better and drawing stuff on this map here. But we're in pink, not yellow today or black. So you see this little kind of bulge right here. That is a weak ridge. Now, this upper level low right into here, I'm just going to draw an L. It's probably not its exact position or anything like that, but there's an upper level low. All right. So around this upper level low, this was kind of what we were dealing with last week. We had an upper level low over here, and this was bringing down all that wildfire smoke from Canada into the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, all across the eastern seaboard. Okay, that's not the case anymore. We have this upper level low, which actually kind of re-strengthen and reposition itself right here. So you got rounds of rain wrapping around this upper level low. In fact, you're dealing with a lot of rain this morning in the upper Midwest, portions of the UP of Michigan, Wisconsin, but you need the rain. So this is definitely welcomed. You're waking up to certainly a rainy Tuesday morning, but these pretty large area of showers, even some heavier rain will move into Indiana, Ohio, even areas of Pennsylvania as we work later into the evening, the overnight hours, eventually into sections of New York State, the southern tier. And this will continue to wrap around, and then tomorrow we could have some storms. But really the big topic is right now is, and we mentioned this in last night's video, we have some explosive storms popping up this morning. There's already a lot of energy in the atmosphere. You see the white colors right here popping up. That is explosive thunderstorm development here at 6 o'clock in the morning Central Time. So it's popping off early and often. And this energy will continue to quickly, with the flow at the mid-levels, pretty fast, 50, 60 knots. This area of storms will continue to work its way kind of in a more southeast pull as it kind of rounds the right edge of this base. It'll kind of dip down into here, and then it'll probably flatten out somewhat. Nah, this line probably should have been a little bit further north, but you get the picture. These area storms will continue to blast through northern Louisiana, Mississippi, southern Alabama, even South Georgia, maybe even all the way up to the low country of South Carolina, panhandle of Florida. And all the moist air is going to be kind of confined to kind of right down here. This little line right here points south. Right in all this region, kind of right here, you got a lot of drier, stable air for June standards. Okay? I would argue the moist air probably is all the way up into here. But you get the picture. Today, a lot of shower, maybe even some storm activity out in the Rockies, but nothing expected to be real severe out here. But this is kind of what's going on. I like to doodle on the map. Hope you guys enjoy it. It's always all over the place, but let's get rolling here. Let's take a look at what's actually falling out there. This is the radar, a more broad look at the entire lower 48. And here it is. I mean, you got the upper level spin. And like I said, I mean, water vapor loop showed it well. You got these showers wrapping around us, so a lot of beneficial rain falling in Wisconsin, the UP and Michigan, all the way into northern Illinois. You're waking up to some showers, especially west and southwest of town, Chicago. These are wrapping all the way into Indiana, Illinois, but this will become a lot more widespread in these areas throughout the day. Even an area of heavier rain kind of moving out of the northeast back north, and this is because you got this flow around this upper level low. So this is why this is moving north, this is moving east, this is moving south, upper level low flow. If you zoom in close to right here, give it a minute to kind of come up, but you see these red areas? This is severe thunderstorm warnings, okay? So it's popping off. These are some powerful storms. Mary, you're probably waking up to some ruckus out there. If you're not, you probably will sometime this morning, but you got numerous storms popping off. So there's already a lot of fuel to the atmosphere. Cape levels already pushing well over 2,000 joules per kilogram up in this region. So, I mean, the flow continues around this weak bulge, this weak kind of upper ridge that's kind of built into the south central U.S., and the flow's kind of rounding off and then kind of moving, I would say east-southeast would be a good directional flow to mention here. But this will continue to move in this area, and then you'll just have more storm development that develops down here. But how widespread is it going to be today? That is the big question, and I'll kind of talk about why I said that, because it looks like some of the short-range models have kind of backed off or stayed the same. Remember I said, last night, and I always will eat the crow if I need to, guys. I said I can almost guarantee you that we're going to have an enhanced risk today. And it could still upgrade to an enhanced risk on the next update or two, but it did not. We just have a slight risk still. It looks the exact same as when we talked about this in last night's video. Not a whole lot's changed, but the confidence has not increased for more substantial severe weather. In fact, it stayed about the same tornado threat. Well, let's mention this slight risk. Remember, that's a level 2 out of 5. I always leave out the category outlook legend down here, but the dark green is a level 1 out of 5. That's what we call marginal. The tornado threat, still just that 2% risk of a tornado, right? At the kind of the bottom quadrant, the bottom areas of these storms where they can really latch on to all the thermodynamics here, will probably stand the best chance for a tornado threat. So basically, you get deeper into this moist atmosphere here, that's where your best tornado threat is probably going to be. But a 2% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in any given location, just east of Dallas, through Shreveport, Jackson, Meridian, all the way to Dothan, Alabama. Okay, all these regions right into here. Tornadoes, not going to be the big threat today. It'll be hail and even some wind. You see down here, this yellow, this huge yellow is basically the entire slight risk. You got a 15% risk of winds exceeding 50 knots or higher within 25 miles at any given point. That's what this means. That's 55 to 60 miles per hour. Hail threat will be the biggest threat by far today, in my personal opinion. Okay, you got not only this huge 15% risk of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter or larger within 25 miles in any given location, you also have a massive hatched risk, which covers, 85-90% of the yellow area, the 15% risk area. If you don't know what a hatch risk area, we always mention it every time, just for any new viewers or people who don't understand. The hatch risk in the black outlined area, that is at least a 10% risk of hail in this case. Well, it's at least a 10% chance of significant weather. That could be a tornado, wind, or hail. In this case, it's hail, and that means there's a 10% risk within 25 miles in any given location of hail exceeding 2 inch in diameter or larger. So almost the entire slight risk has a significant hail chance in this case. So definitely some big-time boomers today. But there's certain, I'll say this. If we get all the way to the evening hours and say, Mitch, we didn't get a drop of rain, we get any storms. I'm telling you, some of these storms, and I'll show you here in a minute, not trying to get too far ahead of myself, but some of these storms are not going to really get going until later, after the sun goes down tonight. There is a slight risk of flash flood guidance being met. 15% risk is what that means in the yellow. So some of these storms could, like any storm, produce a lot of rain. So definitely be aware of that. Let's take a broad look at this like we always do when we start off the southeast today. And we're watching these storms right here in southeast Oklahoma, northeast Texas. These will continue to make their way into areas of northern Louisiana, southern Arkansas. But look at the flow. Like, see how it's moving southeast? It's because you got the troughing on top right up here. and then you got the ridging down here, and basically the boundary in between both. There is a boundary between drier air and more moist air, and it'll ride that boundary, and just south of it, okay, where the moist air is. It's basically where kind of the road network, the avenue, the interstate of traffic is for weather with this, with the separation between troughing and ridging. Okay, you keep this going, and this cluster of storms blast throughout the morning hours of southern Arkansas, northern Louisiana. But then we'll watch to see if this kind of peters out a little bit. All right, does it? Does it not? We're not sure. The latest HRR model says it does. And then we'll watch for additional shower and storm development right down into here as we get to after lunchtime in Alabama. And then we'll watch for some potential intense storms down here in Georgia. There will be some pop-up shower and storm activity in Florida also. Can't rule that out. If you're in Florida, some pop-up shower and storm weak flow, just kind of driven off boundaries. But look what comes right behind it. More rounds of showers and storms continue to blast throughout the overnight hours, get all the way to tomorrow morning, and waking up to a loud ruckus of a morning in Georgia and Alabama. So let's take a closer look at this, because this means a lot. We're going to compare the HRR model with the NAM, and I can tell you both are about the same. We're going to look at the latest HRR model, and hopefully that goes 18 hours out. It does not, but we'll kind of look at we'll look at the 09Z. So this is the latest one that's ran all the way through. So we'll start off this morning, and here comes these areas of storms that are in northeast Texas right now. These move. And if you're confused about what time frame we're at, because I am bad about mentioning it, I got a lot of things coming in my head at one time, so I do apologize. This is in Eastern time, so everybody you see on this map just about is in Central time. So back this up 1 hour, so this will be 10 a.m. So you kind of get the picture there. We keep moving. We get these storms into northern Alabama, southern Arkansas. These begin to work into Mississippi. Do they lose their steam after lunchtime into Mississippi? Unsure. We need to figure that out. And that's kind of just something we got to watch throughout the day. That's why it's important to have a radar and to stay up to date with any alerts, warnings, watches, things like that. But, are these storms still powerful early afternoon in Mississippi? There's a chance they might not be. But the models do like these storms kind of definitely rejuvenating themselves and really getting powerful again, producing potential for damaging winds and very large hail in Alabama. So I'd watch in Alabama around 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, just south of the Birmingham area down to Montgomery, any kind of small town community in southern Alabama. These storms can be quite powerful today. So you'll see these coming. It's not going to be, I don't really see this being really something where they'll kind of pop up on top of you. There's a flow out there, which means these are rounds of storms. It's not like these popcorn in nature storms. Now, you could have some that pop up on you, but it's not that kind of pattern. So we stop here. It's around 3, 4 p.m. Big time storms rocking Montgomery right now. These will continue into Georgia and then make it all the way to South Georgia. And we'll go on and flip to Georgia. And these storms are continuing, and I think it'll be a pretty rocky evening for South Georgia, areas of North Florida. And these storms are pushing through, and these can be quite intense. In fact, I would argue on model guidance, they look the most intense in South Georgia and kind of areas of Alabama. But, between 4 to 8 p.m., 9 p.m., these storms will sweep across maybe central to really South Georgia. And then if you're in like Savannah, Tybee Island, any coastal regions of Georgia today, even all the way up to Beaufort. I mean, the low country of South Carolina could see it be a strong cutoff between the low country and kind of the Midlands of South Carolina. But these storms could blast through. So if you're on vacation on the coastal regions of Georgia, watch out for some storms later this evening. These will make their way literally all the way from Texas, all the way to, now they're not the same kind of area of storms. These are kind of the storms that reform, but in general, they're going to cover a lot of ground today, but make it all the way to this region. Now, let's take it back to the deep south. And I do want to mention, you go back to the 06Z. All right, this is what's important. All right, so at this point, we're about 10 p.m. Central Time. There's more storms moving in. So it's going to be a rocky overnight hours for Little Rock. That's funny. But anyways, southern Arkansas, northern Louisiana, again, this could be more so maybe all the way up to western Tennessee, northern Mississippi. I mean, this is 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. These storms are rocking and rolling through here. Heavy rain, frequent lightning, huge thunder, loud thunder, damaging winds as possible, and large hail. And then you can't rule out a brief tornado. So I can't tell you enough. If you don't get a drop of rain this afternoon and this evening, don't think, well, this forecast was a bust. Because remember, the Storm Prediction Center outlook runs a 24-hour period, basically from this morning to tomorrow morning, and then it starts over to the next day. So this is technically still in the day one outlook for today through the next 24 hours. And these storms are just rocking. And I mean, this is what, 6, 7 a.m. tomorrow. You have an intense line of storms from the latest H-Triple-R model going through Alabama, Georgia, but they could be in Mississippi also. Heck, they could be all the way into the low country of South Carolina. So I can't tell you enough. This is going to be an active period. And I just deleted a panel I wanted to look at. If we look at the NAM, guys, I mean, it kind of follows suit today of the H-Triple-R model. It kind of fizzles out the line of storms. It moves through southern Arkansas, northern Louisiana, into Mississippi. And then it kind of tries to rejuvenate it here in Georgia, but not so much. But both models agree that you're going to have some kind of area of storms that moves back into the area for sometime in the wee hours of the morning tonight into tomorrow morning. So definitely got to watch it. One thing I want to look at here, and why you have such a substantial cutoff between the slight risk and just a general risk of thunderstorms here. It's not that big of a cutoff. In fact, I would argue the cutoff is definitely, the gradient is tighter down here. But because if you look right here, this is current dew points. Well, it was a dew points about 30 minutes ago, but you get the picture. You got very moist air down here in the south. Dew points into the upper 60s, low 70s, tropical air mass in Louisiana. But I mean, if you head all up to, Memphis, Tennessee, dew points in the low 60s, upper 50s. I mean, Nashville, most of the state of Tennessee is crisp. I mean, it feels like a fall morning. North Georgia also, northern Alabama, dew points in the 40s and 50s. Okay, you're probably waking up to another nice morning. In fact, even here in South Carolina, I mean, low temperatures are in the 50s in the upstate. So it's another pleasant morning. And that should be just because you got the separation with the troughing, the lowering heights to the north. This is influencing the air mass. And this is separating a very moist air mass with a pretty dry air mass. It's nothing like you see out west where you got a dry line. Well, you got a dramatic difference within 30 miles. But you can see a cutoff between pretty moist air and dry air here. Another thing you look at is current CAPE levels. This is right now. You can see the big cutoff, right? It goes from like pretty much almost zero CAPE, which is the convective available energy in the atmosphere. That's not exactly what it is. Basically, just think of that as storm fuel. Always brain fart the exact acronyms of what it means to the terms, but it's basically the available potential in the atmosphere to produce storms. So you got CAPE levels, I mean, right here in kind of northeast Texas, over 2,500 joules per kilogram already this morning. CAPE levels well over 1,000 joules per kilogram in areas of southern Mississippi, Louisiana. This is doing nothing but building this morning. So a lot of energy building into this morning. So now we have talked about that for 15 minutes. Let's talk about the Northeast. So my folks up in the Northeast, I have a loyal viewer that says that I always skip West Virginia. So I definitely want to mention West Virginia. Guys, I know I say this a million times. If I don't say your state, your town, please do not take it like it's something I'm trying to do on purpose. I got so much information flowing through my head at one time. Chances are I'm going to miss your town for sure. And I'm probably going to even miss your state occasionally. I try to mention all of them. But remember, just because I don't mention your state, always actually look at what I'm showing you on the map too, because it'll show you what's going on. But I understand. I appreciate you folks trusting me. But please don't get frustrated with me, guys. It's a lot. I'm not trying to make y'all guys feel bad for me or anything like that. But it is a lot to mention every single state when I got a panel. But anyways, we'll get off that. Just want to tell you guys, I love you all. I love you all in each and every state. But we'll start off this morning. We're dealing with that rain up here in northern portions of Vermont, New Hampshire, and New York. This will continue to kind of move into Maine, some light showers, but a more congealed area of consolidated area of rain will kind of move through almost the entire state of Ohio. All right, throughout the afternoon, a very rainy kind of afternoon for Ohio. This will move into western PA, western sections of the southern tier of New York State. Some showers will really become widespread, and I would say far northern West Virginia. If you're in central to southern West Virginia, I think you'll miss out on most of the rain. But as we get into the late evening hours, I'm talking about you're starting to flirt with midnight. Low pressure really moves in right here. Low pressure surface low wrapping around this upper level low, kind of rounds the base, and this brings more widespread rain into Ohio. And this could dump a lot of rain overnight and moves into western PA. And this continues, and this is when the rain can move a little bit further south in West Virginia, all the way in the central sections of the states. And, I would say well after midnight, you'll get a nice, steady, light to moderate rain into the overnight hours. This could be a little bit further south than what it shows. But this rain might make it all the way to northern Kentucky. It could. But widespread rains in the wee hours of the morning tonight for central western PA, moving across all of western New York State. And then we're waking up tomorrow morning to some rainy conditions in areas of the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. And then we'll watch for some storms as this low pressure right here, remember the southern to southeast quadrant of these low pressures, all right, in this case, is going to bring up probably some dynamics to support some storms. Are they going to be severe? We'll figure that out here in the coming video or two, but I would anticipate maybe a stormy afternoon tomorrow morning. We won't get too far ahead of ourselves. Rain between now and the next 24 hours. 1 to 2 inches of rain is possible in central Ohio. Northern Ohio, you might miss on most of the rain, but there's going to be a nice corridor of rain that kind of sweeps through northern Indiana, through central and southern Ohio, and then even northern sections of West Virginia. I don't know what y'all call this area of West Virginia right here. I'm sure y'all call it something. But this section right here of West Virginia will get a good bit of rain today. Mainly overnight. But Pittsburgh, you get over an inch of rain, and over the next 24 hours, if you're in western PA, you're going to get beneficial rain finally from this. But let's talk about the south central U.S. We already know what's going on in northeast Texas. Definitely some big time storms. These will continue to kind of move its way throughout the deep south and the east southeast kind of flow. We've already talked about the deep south, but we'll continue to watch more areas of storms this afternoon. It ain't over this morning. Okay, the atmosphere will recover, most likely, and you'll have another area of shower and storm activity. Big storms possible also in northeast Texas and northern Texas. If you're from Dallas-Fort Worth, the Texarkana, entire region, it's going to be a rocky next 24 hours, maybe next 36 hours. There is a marginal risk of severe storms up here, so we can't rule them out here. And, we're southeast Colorado, the Panhandle of Oklahoma, northern Texas, New Mexico, and southwest Kansas meet. There could be some big-time storms in this region. There definitely will be some storms. It's just how widespread they are, how severe they are. But, you could have 1 or 2 big ones that float this evening, 7, 8 p.m. into the Panhandle of Oklahoma and northern Texas, the Panhandle of northern Texas, right here. The northern portion of the Panhandle of Texas, probably the better way to say it. But 1 or 2 big-time supercells could fly through. Watch out north and northeast of Amarillo. We'll see if that actually happens. But let's zoom into this region right into here. And we'll show it well here. Area of storms this morning, this blast through. Here comes another area of storms around 2 to 3 p.m. Moves through the same areas. I'm telling you guys, if you're in Paris, Clarksville, New Boston, Texarkana, Mount Pleasant, Sulphur Springs, yada, 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 all them, Atlanta, Texas, not Georgia. These also could be in Oklahoma, Broken Bow, Idabel? Definitely correct me if I mispronounce that. Hugo, Oklahoma, all these areas, even, into far southwest Arkansas, Ashdown, all these areas, okay? Intense storms. These could even drift into the Shreveport region. All right, and this is getting into about 5, 6, 7 p.m. These look like just a bunch of little mini supercells flying through this area. Are you going to have enough kinematics for a real tornado threat, a bigger tornado threat than what they're saying? You can't rule it out, but man, they just one supercell after the other, and then you get some powerful storms that potentially pop off if the cap breaks in central Texas. So if you're in the heart of Texas, I would watch out. I would watch out. Abilene points south to Waco. That little region right there could certainly see some powerful storms in this region. But, you get into 9, 10 p.m., Watch out just south of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. More storms going. They're continuing, guys. I mean, you get into the overnight hours, another round pops up after midnight tonight. And then you're probably waking up to more storms potentially for tomorrow morning. So a pretty wild next 24 hours of some hefty storms in this region that could produce some very large hail. Chances are if you miss on 1 or 2 rounds, you might end up hitting on another. So let's hope you don't. But it's inevitable. Somebody's going to get blasted with some large hail today, most likely. This upper level low spinning. You got little pieces of energy, little surface lows that round it. So you're dealing with the rain in the UP and Michigan. We know this. Areas of Wisconsin, this rain is filtering down, basically down Lake Michigan, affecting Wisconsin. This will continue throughout the afternoon, evening hours. We'll stop this around 6 p.m. Showers and even some heavier showers continue to kind of move out of the northeast into the UP and Michigan, move out of the north to the south through Wisconsin. The only area that probably doesn't see really any rain is western Wisconsin, but a really rainy afternoon, morning for Chicago. Indianapolis, most of the rain will be just north of you guys, but I do think some rain will make its way through the area. Northern Indiana, a rainy afternoon and evening, beneficial rains for sure for you guys. Some certain areas could certainly see a good bit of rain, and I meant to pull this up, and I'm going to do it on the fly for you folks, but how much rain you guys can get. Don't want to leave you guys out at all. But the upper Midwest, come on, baby, I'm doing this on the fly. You got to work with me here. We look at precipitation, and really between now and the next 24 hours, man, this is just not wanting to do good for me. So I guess we'll have to look at the blend of all models because this isn't working. So we'll look over the next 24 hours. It's really crazy. You can actually see a circular motion, right? Areas in northern Indiana could get over a half an inch of rain, and that's a good bit of rain. That's beneficial rain. That's enough rain where it's not going to cause a lot of flooding. Additional rain is possible in Wisconsin. But check out where you're at. There is a tight gradient, though. Some people will completely whiff. So the Rockies, another day of widespread showers and downpours anywhere from Nevada, maybe the Sierra Nevada, points north, Idaho, especially central Idaho, western and really southwest Montana. I would say more so western Wyoming, the Yellowstone National Park region. Of course, we mentioned these big-time storms in eastern and southeastern Colorado, and then some storm action is possible. And widespread shower and heavy rain activity is possible in northern Utah. You work your way into southern sections of the state, not as widespread, but we've seen this over the last several days. I think tomorrow, you will finally get a shift in this. This begins to work finally out of kind of the southwest Montana, Idaho region, and we'll speak on that tomorrow morning. But temperatures, I mean, you can see where this upper level low is, right? Temperatures are cooler. It'll be a wild temperature gradient like Wisconsin today, where eastern portions of the state will not get out to 50s. But you get on to the far western area of Wisconsin, you're getting to probably 80 degrees. Everybody down here in the Midwest, the Mid-South, the Ohio Valley, it's comfortable in this area. 70s, low 80s with low humidity. A very nice, pleasant mid-June day. But you start hugging the southern sections of the Gulf states, it's getting into the upper 80s, 90s with high humidity, and you can feel the juice building in the atmosphere for some big-time storms. A nice day in the Carolinas. I mean, still a tick below average, 80s, but with lower humidity, depending on where you're at. And just nice up into the northern plains, not too bad. Above average temperatures continue for like the Pacific Northwest, but for the Southwest, below average temperatures still persist here. But Montana getting pretty warm today, widespread 80s outside the higher elevations, things like that. Tomorrow, there is a big risk of severe storms, enhanced risk already at day 2. And this is driving off a 30% risk of winds pushing 50 knots or higher, and the hail threat is a 30% risk of hail. And a hatch risk also. So we'll discuss that when we here in the coming video or two. I'll try to have a video tonight, guys. We'll see what happens, but I definitely will obviously have one for tomorrow morning. God bless all y'all. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.